Well, hi everybody. It's that time again. Time for another catch up with Mayo live stream. Welcome. Saturday afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern. And I haven't done one of these, I think, in a couple of weeks. I mean, I did one at the record store last time, but that was just a short little kind of bonus thing. So this is the first official one, like usual, in a couple of weeks, I think. So what do we got here? Let's see. Okay. Hello, Ramoga. What's the good word? Exactly. Exactly. What's the good word? I don't know. Summer? What's up, Mike Wall Jasper? Harold, what's going on? I got a Beatles book about the last concert at Candlestick Park for my birthday on Thursday. Early happy birthday. Oh, last Thursday. Okay, happy birthday. Be it early, late, or late. Tomorrow was the anniversary of Elvis's passing. Are you doing a video? No, I won't be doing a video. I don't know. I think I'm probably more inclined to do a video next year in 2027 for Elvis's 50th anniversary of Elvis passing. I did one in, I think, 2017. I did one 10 years ago, I think, so I'll probably do something for the next one. And as far as the Candlestick Park book, I was at the flea market and I did come across that. It had cellophane on it. It was, it was like a hardcover. I think we're talking about the same book, Candlestick Park, the hardcover, heavy duty book. And I did see one of those, and it was cheaply priced for $10, which is under the asking price, the ordinary cover price. And I didn't buy it. It shows you I'm trying to not buy all the books anymore of everything, every little thing, as the song said. James Farley, howdy, what's up? And hello to Douglas also. Douglas. And George, hi George, music for all four seasons. I noticed you said you had something on one of I think a Facebook page said Frankie Valli is not retiring. Whoa! I just saw him I think in a wheelchair recently. I just wonder if that is that true. And hello to Penny Lane. What's going on? Penny Lane's here. Hello, Elvin. Yeah, lots of nice summer days. I got to say, this summer we've been really blessed, at least in my case, because I love summer. Blessed with really nice weather. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, of course. I was thinking of going to the flea market, but if it rains tomorrow, I won't be going. Hello, Elementary Penguin. Good day to you. All right. Candlestick Park. 2014 McCartney last pick. 30 of us in third row, fans on the run. Last show ever before demolition. Interesting. They're going to demolish it, huh? Geez, what do you say there, little girl? Hello to Spring Hill Gym UK. Greetings, MMM, which stands for Mean Mr. Mayo. Some of you people will be quick and will notice that. Hello, Bernard. Hello. Doing pretty well. I hope you are as well. Thank you. Always a pleasure. Hello, Aaron. Mr. Mayor. Oh, I'm a mayor today. You sound under the weather, Joe. Are you feeling good? Yeah, I'm good. It's just that I don't. I got people upstairs. I feel you feel a little intimidated when you're talking and people can hear you. But then again, that doesn't stop me in the mornings on not Saturday. What is it? We do it. Keep changing it. On Thursday now on my other channel when I do the Danny show. He it's my. Let's see. Hello to Yorkie girl. What's going on with you? The Beatles book just has come out. Yeah. Yeah, this is pretty ridiculous in the fact that I saw all these reports that Mitch Weissman had passed away, and they were premature. You know what I mean? He's in a it was in a car accident. He's on ICU. I knew he was in a car accident, but I was almost going to make a video acknowledging that he passed. And then I looked at more research and found that he did not pass, thankfully. But 5 weeks, huh? Wow. You never know, man. The other day, just yesterday, I was driving my car and I was on the highway, and here comes this woman. Like I'm going straight, and she's coming sideways to cut across me. You know, you have to wait to, but she wasn't looking, and she just tried to come, and I jammed my brakes on. He squealed, and she jammed her brakes on, and we just made it. You never freaking know, man. You never really know. She wanted to try to get in there without really taking her time to look to see if she had room. Uh, the Beatles book just came out for the 60th anniversary. Looking back on it, I should have bought it. If I happen to be at the flea market, and for any reason that book is still there, I'll probably pick it up this time. Okay, for the Beatles, early stuff from 63 to 65, whether the UK version or US version, do you prefer them in mono or stereo? What I always say is usually it depends on the song. There are some songs I like better in mono, and there are some songs I like better in stereo. For the early stuff, I'm tempted to say I prefer the mono, but there are exceptions. You know, I like the stereo version of the song "Money." That's what I want, for example. You know, so there are some of them. Overall, I'd say mono for most of them. Mono for the early ones. What are your thoughts on The Land Unknown on Svengoolie tonight? And does Godzilla make a cameo in the movie? Godzilla does not make a cameo in the movie. No. And The Land Unknown, I've never seen it, and I don't really want to see it. It's not my kind of thing, and it's, you know, I don't know. I like I like Godzilla movies and certain giant monster movies, but The Land Unknown, I'm not interested in. Never seen it. Never seen it. Yes, indeed. I figured you meant to say Mayo. But it's funny. I don't mind being called the mayor once in a while. Okay. I've never been to Graceland. Never been there. And next year would be the year to go for the 50th anniversary. Yeah. Yeah. Glad that Beatlemania is doing okay. You mean Mitch Weissman of Beatlemania? Formerly of Beatlemania? He's not in good shape, apparently, but he's still here, still alive. Wow, Joe, I didn't know about Elvis's passing. What a coincidence. I'm wearing an Elvis shirt today. The shirt says Elvis in Concert 1972, Saturday Live in New York. And hi, Jeff. What's going on with you? I'm in touch with family, so I get firsthand news better than all the hearsay. Praying for Mitch Weissman. Yes, yeah, that's a terrible, just terrible stories like this. You know, hate them. Hate these stories. I do have the book many years from now. Yeah, there's a lot of different versions of how Paul wrote this and what he wrote and stuff. Yeah. Okay, Gregory, thank you for the information. Gregory, thank you for the offer. For the U.S. albums, Capitol used the stereo mixes for the mono releases. So for songs like Money and Thank You Girl, hearing the stereo mixes in mono is the best of both worlds, in my opinion. Maybe that's why I love the Beatles' second album, the Capitol album. And a lot of times when people ask me what's my favorite Beatles album, I say usually the Beatles' second album, the U.S. album. And it's because I love the sound of it. I do. And I love the way that songs like Money and Thank You Girl sound really more alive and more rocking. And Thank You Girl has the added harmonica, for example, you know. So really love that. She is, Gregory. Okay, we got some water here. I agree with this. Money, the song Money, rocks on the Capitol album. It sounds wimpy otherwise. I agree. But I mean, it sounds okay too on the stereo Parlophone stereo, but it doesn't rock anywhere like it does on the U.S. Capitol Beatles' second album. I'll tell you that. And I'll agree with that. Everything sounds good on there. Roll Over Beethoven, You Can't Do That. Long Tall Sally, it all sounds great. The Beatles' second album, even though it's not like an album the Beatles intended, it still has a lot of rock on it and some good, Motown feel to it. I really, really love it, and I grew up with it. So there you go. And Jeff says he likes the U.S. albums best. Well, it's funny because there was a time in my life where I never would have said that. In a million years, I never would have said that. When I was growing up and a teenager, and I started to learn about the actual Beatles albums as they were on Parlophone in the UK, and also even the Japanese pressings. But I've come to grow very fond of the U.S. albums now, and 9 times out of 10, I'll put on if I'm playing a vinyl, I'll put on a U.S. album. Sean or Julian, as far as the music preference. In all fairness, I haven't heard Sean. I haven't heard a lot of Sean, just a little bit. I like Julian, though. I like Julian's stuff. Not every song, but I do like a lot of his stuff. Don't like the Capitol use the stereo mixes for the mono releases of the early Beatles, mostly because the mono mixes sounded better. And Please Please Me sounds bad in stereo, in my opinion. Okay, Beatles 60s vinyl mono, right? But us born in 75 bought the CDs from the 90s stereo version that George Martin produced. Yep. Hello, Robbie. Good afternoon. I just watched the No Cash video. You were right. It's over. It's so over. And if you want to know what this means, go over to my other channel. I have a channel over there. New rant video, folks. New rant video. Some of you like rants. You like rant videos? You got to go over to my channel. Well, actually, both channels, because this one is over at Mr. Cinemayo. So go over to Mr. Cinemayo, and you will find a new rant video about the no cash policy at a movie theater that I went to. Unbelievable. That's at Mr. Cinemayo. And of course, my newest channel, Mayo Loves Mondays, is where most of the rants will be going. There'll be new rants over there, and some of the old rants from the past here are going to be ported over there. So please subscribe if you haven't already to both of those channels. Okay, Sean is a rocking guitar player. Julian vocals sound like Dad. Sean vocals sound like Yoko. Has the vinyl bug crept up on you yet, or CD still on top as of now? I've been getting more interested in vinyl again, but it's just something I can't go back to, because I've gotten rid of a lot of vinyl. I have tons more that I have not gotten rid of that I still want to get rid of. And I don't know. I still grab a CD most of the time if I'm going to play something, but sometimes it's fun to play vinyl. And when I'm at my record store, I play vinyl. I'm still buying 45s, a lot of vinyl 45s instead of LPs. Excuse me, the throat's going again with the whatever it is, clearing my throat. Hello, James. Good afternoon. What are your thoughts on Not a Second Time? You really got a hold on me. I love Not a Second Time. A lot of times, people put Not a Second Time low on their list of Beatles songs. It's high for me. I think John is fabulous on that song. I love it. It's a very dark and moody vibe to it. I love it. And You Really Got a Hold on Me is a great rendition. Classic Beatles on the Smokey Robinson hit. I love them both. I've never read The Longest Cocktail Party. I think I actually have the book, though. But that's what I mean. Lots of stuff out there that you may never get to, and more to come. You keep buying new stuff. You're not really dealing with what you've got here already. So I do like the mono release of Help in the U.S. because I never liked the mono mix of the songs Help in the Night Before. So I'm glad that they opted for using the stereo mixes. Well, that's what I mean. There's certain songs that, for whatever reason, I might prefer in stereo here and there, early songs. You know? Did I ever go to a drive-in movie back in the day? Oh, sure. Definitely. Went to a lot of drive-in movies. The last drive-in movie I ever saw was I think in the late 90s, and it was Bride of Chucky. And I think that was the last movie I think it was the last one I've seen in the movie theater. Is it true that Julian really forces the voice to sound more like John? I've heard he doesn't sing like that on other albums, that the company wanted a John-like voice after his death to sell. I don't really know the facts of that. I don't know if the record company kind of persuaded Julian to sound more like his dad. He does. I think he sounds naturally like his dad. I don't think that's anything he can help. And I think, if anything, Julian probably would not want the association. I think, if anything, he'd rather sound different than his dad, if he could. He did that on that song. Is it Mr. the album Mr. Jordan? That song where he sounds more like David Bowie, which I like that song. I think it's Now You're in Heaven. It's called. I really like that song. I grew up with the original Capitol albums in mono. I didn't hear the Parlophone stereo version until the early 70s. I like what I grew up with. Same here. But, as I say, I did grow to appreciate the Parlophone versions and things, And Jeff is a CD guy. For the most part, I am as well, these days especially. For the most part. Any instruments in the house? Trying to think. Well, there are instruments in the house. My girlfriend has a guitar. She plays guitar, and she has a keyboard that she plays. She plays some music. My girlfriend, but nothing here for me. I'm glad you like Not a Second Time. We got to get more appreciation for Not a Second Time. And Don't Bother Me, and Little Child, and with the Beatles in general. The With the Beatles album needs more love because I love it. A lot of times I say it's my favorite UK album. Okay, do you like The Move? I don't know The Move. I like ELO though enough, but You Really Got a Hold on Me from the Get Back sessions is wonderful too. It's fun. It's fun. I personally not as good as the studio, but it's fun. The Horzu vinyl True Stereo, still the best. German Optimal Factory Rules. Well, I can see, with the picture of you have in your avatar of Magical Mystery Tour, that's definitely the same. And I'll tell you, the German albums do sound really good. I mean, it's a while ago now. I remember putting on some of the German vinyl imports, and I really liked the sound of those. Really liked them. There's still a drive-in theater in Tulsa. It's where the Outsiders movie was filmed. Yeah. But the U.S. album release of Ticket to Ride sounds terrible in both mono and stereo. Hate how it sounds in fake stereo. I'm okay with it. I really like it. Yeah, The Night Before is one of my favorite songs. A lot of times, a lot of my favorite songs are what you call deeper tracks, if there can be such a thing applied to the Beatles, deep cuts. But The Night Before I love that song. Oh, really do. Julian recently changed his name, so it's really Julian now. Yeah, I heard something about that too. Yeah. I remember hearing that in the news because what was it? John, I think his name was John Charles Julian Lennon, something. I think. I'm part of the group of fans starting in 1987 that grew up with the Parlophone Beatles albums, aka the current Beatles canon. Yeah, of course, in 1987, I was a CD fanatic, and I bought all the Beatles CDs, of course, as soon as they came out. These days, I don't really like those CDs, at least the early ones I don't like so much. I'm okay with the later ones. In fact, I think the White Album, which I think came out in 1988 on CD, that's my go-to. Over there on those shelves up here. If I'm going to play the White Album, I usually grab the 1988 CD, usually. Another song that I love, All I've Got to Do, and, I love that. I love it, love it, love it. I heard a version on YouTube where I think they just isolated John's voice and George's guitar. Funny, because I never really thought much of George playing a slight guitar sound on it. Two of my favorites as well, Anna and I'll Get You, especially I'll Get You. I'll Get You is one of my all-time favorite Beatles songs. Tough. They say tough. Not that many people are going to object, but Beatles 62 to 65 is unmatched for me, and while I adore all their albums, those years are my favorite, but I find them most interesting to learn and read about pre-fame. You're talking about the Red Album, right? 62 to 66, I think. But my favorite period is always going to be 62 to 66. That's always my favorite period. But I love all Beatles stuff, but just my sweet spot. I kind of prefer the early Beatles, you know. As a kid, I bought some UK albums. They seemed louder and crisper. They definitely were more crisp. And back in the day when I first discovered the UK albums, back in, like, I want to say 1977 or 78, I went to a store called TSS, Times Square Stores, and they had a record department. And there's also a store, Record World. And I'd go in there and they'd have imports. And back then, I think they were around $20 each, and which seemed very expensive in 1977. But I did get a hold of them, and I loved them, because at that particular time, it was great to be able to hear the songs the way they were really intended. And I'd never heard the UK albums before. And I had a whole collection of, not every volume, but a big collection of the Japanese Flag series. They call it the Flag series from the 70s. And that was real. I thought that sound was really pretty amazing for the time as well. And I never looked back for a long time. For many years, I would never look back at the Capitol albums again. I used to get smug. I'd get, snobby about it. I'd say, like a lot of people say, the Beatles never intended this to be like that. George Martin never intended it. There's no such album as Meet the Beatles. There's no such album as the Beatles' second album. There's no such album as Something New. There's no such album as Beatles 65. There's no such album as the early Beatles. On and on. No such thing as Yesterday and Today. Those are not real albums. Now I love them, and I went back to them. So that's how I've changed my tune on that. Dovetail Joint, what's going on? I went to the record store this morning, got the 2023 Red Album, new vinyl for $38. That's a good price for that. It's a good price. Marked down from $76. I had bought the CD when it was first released. That's a good pickup. Okay, I still remember getting all those Beatles CDs when I was 7 in 1987. The first ones came in a long cardboard box, which printed the title in a unique color. I wish I kept those boxes. You and me both. I used to keep those boxes for several years after them. I would take them out of the long cardboard boxes, and I kept the boxes in my closet at the time, my bedroom closet. And then finally one year I just said, oh, the hell with this. Why am I saving this cardboard crap? And I just threw them all away. And I regret that, because, now I'd like to have them. And not just the Beatles, but the solo Beatles as well. Do you know why they never officially recorded Bebop-A-Lula? Because I understand they loved that song. I don't know. I don't know why. That's interesting. I mean, I was going to say because they like to do their own material, but as we know, they recorded a lot of covers, so that's no answer. But I don't think there's any well-known reason for that. I don't think. Okay, in my opinion, Meet the Beatles should have ended with "I Want to Be Your Man" instead of "Not a Second Time." I don't think it's that good of a song, and "I Want to Be Your Man" would have been a more rocking way to end the album. I appreciate your opinion. I love "I Want to Be Your Man," and I love, as I said earlier, I love "Not a Second Time," and I really think "Not a Second Time" is actually the perfect ending for that record. It trails off very mysteriously, and no. I just love it. It has that kind of, like I was saying, moody sound to that song. There's a moody sound to it. Okay, heard I saw her standing there earlier today. One of the top Beatles songs of all time. Can't disagree with that. Elementary, my dear Penguin, Elementary. Early Beatles all the way, a young band ready to take on the world and change not just music, but the world as we know it. I like the way you think, Jick Magger. I like the way you think. I also prefer the earlier songs, but my favorite is I Am the Walrus. I love I Am the Walrus. Yeah, it's in my top 10. For listening to the Beatles CDs, I'd listen to the 2009 mono CD set over the 87 CDs and 2009 stereo CDs. Yeah, if I'm most of the time, if I'm going to listen to the Beatles on CD, most of the time I listen to the 2009 for the most part, for most of them. Hello, James Byers. Thank you. Doing well, sir. Thank you. Hope you're doing the same. I haven't made a video in a while, and the last video was about Johnny Cash. Just haven't, well, there hasn't been any news really, Beatles related, and I haven't been feeling it. Just haven't been feeling it, you know. Of course, what you have to do at times like this, when the so-called lean times, there's not a lot of Beatles content, not a lot of Beatles news. You got to do things like talk about, my favorite album, or maybe I could do like solo album reviews, which I still say I'm going to get back. See what I did there? I'm going to get back to doing solo Beatle reviews. I got to do more of those. But sometimes you're just like, meh, you just like take a vacation. Although it's not really a vacation because I have two other channels and I want to once again spotlight those here. And I'm spending a lot of time this is the channel I'm really trying to grow more. If anybody wants to help me out, if you're listening to this and by any chance you're not subscribed, and you'd like to support me, if you don't want to, I always say this, if you don't want to support me, fine. Although any engagement, positive or negative, is still engagement that the algorithm picks up on. But anyway, please subscribe to Mayo Loves Mondays. His rants, Life Talk, the Joe and Danny Show, which is fun. It's a Mayo trifecta. You know what I mean? There's 3 channels. And like I said, most of the rant videos go on this channel. If you like the rants, when I talk about things that annoy the hell out of me, crack people up, I sound like George Costanza sometimes on steroids. Check out Mayo Loves Mondays. The rants are going over there now. Although sometimes there are exceptions. I just did a rant video today, only a half an hour ago, or something like that. On this one here, Mr. Cinemayo. Mr. Cinemayo is my movies, TV, nostalgia, pop culture, autographs, comic books. But there's also rants. So I did a rant about a movie theater that I went to the other day. And the movie theater, as I was saying earlier, they only accept cash now. No cards, excuse me. They only accept cards, no cash. And I'm a cash guy, so I had to deal with that. That's over at Mr. Cinema. You never know what video is going to appear anywhere. And of course, I should also mention, going back for a minute to Mayo Loves Mondays, this is where the flea market videos are now going. I have to update this. Flea market videos are here. Shopping videos are here. Anthony videos, when I had with my friend Anthony. The Anthony videos are now at Mayo Loves Mondays. Old ones and some new ones. We're going to be doing new ones. Some people say a lot of the material is old material. Yeah, I'm trying to take some things from this channel, old chestnuts, that kind of fit, that work well on the new channel, and put them over there. But I'm also making new ones. So you have to go through all 3. The Mayo trifecta, the Mayo trilogy, triage. Did I say everything? Did I cover it all? All right, let's go back. Okay, I liked UK albums when I bought them in late 60s. Loud, crisp, and no Martin music, George Martin music, I think you mean. I also like the US Beatle albums, but I would think of ways how I think some albums would be better. Fair enough. Did you see Tone's All Things Must Pass video? No, I did not. I saw that he had it up. I saw the thumbnail. Really good. Of all of them, I still like the 2000 mix best. You? I like the new mix. I don't mind any of the mixes. I like the original Phil Spector mix from 1970. I like the one that George did in 2000. Also, I think that was, in some ways, that's the best one made, arguably. But I do like the, what is it, what year did it come out? 2021? Did it come out in 2021? The All Things Must Pass, the newest one, 5 years ago. I love it. I love it. I think it's good that you can hear things better and George better. The U.S. Rubber Soul and Magical Mystery Tour are must-haves. Absolutely. But, of course, Magical Mystery Tour was the one album that the U.S. put together that changed it. It was a game changer because now even the UK and the rest of the world pretty much accepts Magical Mystery Tour as a legitimate album. So now, the U.S., kind of created that. It's a brilliant album. Brilliant. And the U.S. Rubber Soul as well. I like the U.S. Rubber Soul, but I also love the UK Rubber Soul. Both of them I like. For example, in Rubber Soul US, I would replace "Think for Yourself" with "Nowhere Man" and "Wait" with "If I Needed Someone." "Wait" and TFY, "Think for Yourself," would end up on "Yesterday and Today." Okay, it's always fun to make those ideas. What would you do? How would you rearrange the White Album and stuff? I think Ringo does "I Want to Be Your Man" better than Jagger. Oh, definitely. Definitely. And I'm not saying that just because I love the Beatles more than the Stones, although I do like the Stones quite a bit. But it's way better, that song, their version of it, I think. Oh, John was dominating in early Beatles albums, and later Paul started to dominate clearly. Yeah, I want to say something else, too. That's another topic that's the term "hot take" is always around now. People are going around saying that Paul McCartney really started to take over from John in the songwriting department in '66 with Revolver. I don't think so. I mean, granted, look, I would say the songs from Paul on Revolver are maybe the best, but John's are just as good. I don't think John was really like kind of like taking a coffee break yet. I would say more around Pepper is more like Paul dominated around Pepper. But even there, I think John was still into it. I actually don't think John really phoned it in or really checked out until Get Back. Honestly, I still think he's strong on Revolver. I think John is strong on Pepper. I think he's strong with Magical Mystery Tour, all those 1967 in general. We'll say 67 Lennon, he's still strong. And 68 on the White Album, John is still strong. It's only really Get Back. And Abbey Road, too. So I would say John didn't check out till 69, really. So I don't understand this whole thing that, Paul took over in 66. Granted, Paul upped his game. Paul really upped his game in 66. An episode of the Munsters, yes, indeed. It's called Far Out Munsters. Anybody wants to look it up. It's an episode of the Munsters called Far Out Munsters. And the Standells are a rock group, and they play "I Want to Hold Your Hand" in the Munsters living room. Yes, indeed. I love that show, and I know that episode. Could you imagine if the Beatles somehow, they could have got the Beatles to do that? Could you imagine if the Munsters met the Beatles and they went to the Munsters house? That would have been... Because I love the Beatles and I love the classic monster movies. That would have been the greatest pairing for me ever. Don't Bother Me is very underrated. One of my favorites. I understand John helped for that one. Yeah, they put some work into that. John said, we always helped you, George, even down to Don't Bother Me. I think that was a quote from John, But anyway, that's what John said in a meeting, I think, with the others. But I love Don't Bother Me. I love it. Oh, same reasons I love Not a Second Time. It's just so different. It's moody. It's got a weird sensation to it and vibe. While they loved Bebop-A-Lula, I'm not sure if it was a major part of their repertoire. They played at the Star Club, but I think it was requested. That's true. I think it was requested by the waiter, I think. Was it? Or maybe not. Or maybe it was Horst Rasher. I don't know. The one who took care of them, protected them. I prefer the single of Get Back over the album version. And by the way, I think it's not sung by the Beatles. Right? Am I right? In the Hamburg concert, the Beatles don't sing Bebop-A-Lula. I think the other guy does. I prefer the single of the Get Back over the album version. What about you? Oh, I like the single better because the single goes on longer and it has the drum boom, 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 and it comes back with, the coda at the end. I definitely prefer the single for that reason, but it has its place on the album too, because the whole thing about I hope we pass the audition, that whole thing, that whole thing is a lot of fun. We're Beatles fans, Beatles fanatics even, but there are 1,000 other artists to listen to and something called A Life to Live. I'm not really sure what that's in response to, but yes, indeed. Well, yeah, A Life to Live and 1,000 other, it's all up to the individual, I listen to other artists. People don't think so, but I do. I get tired of the Beatles. I can't listen to the Beatles every day, and I don't. I can't remember the last time I just went and pulled out a Beatles album and played it one of their regular albums. But some people, if that's all they want to play with the Beatles, as long as their life feels successful, as long as they could die at the end, if they're aware that they're passing on to the next realm, and they could say, I enjoyed my life, I enjoyed what I did. That's all that matters. Whether you listen to every artist ever made, or you listen to 3 artists, or there's no artist, you don't listen to music at all. Whatever your thing is. I'd also add one more song to some U.S. Beatle albums. For example, add She Loves You in German to something new. And I'm down to Beatles 6. Very nice. Okay, defy your doctor's warnings and go for the extra mayo. Okay, sounds good. I like that. Have you seen Larry Graves' video where he discovered people prefer his homemade thumbnails and not his AI thumbnails? Very interesting. Yeah, that's a topic we can discuss. I've been using some AI thumbnails now. And yes, I do hate AI, but not for thumbnails. I hate AI for changing history, changing photographs that truly existed and making fake ones out of them, making it look like, Paul sang the Beach Boys song God Only Knows when he never did. But anyway, and some people said they don't like the thumbnails when I do that. And I'll tell you one thing, and this is my opinion. Somebody told me I look older in the AI thumbnails once, and I think I do. For some reason, a lot of times when the AI makes the thumbnail, it makes you look all like your skin is all like bumpy and stuff and not smooth. I don't know why. But anyway, the AI thumbnails, I don't use them all the time, but they've come in very, very handily. They've been very handy. And I don't notice any difference. I don't think people have tuned out because of AI thumbnails. If you were the Fabs and Apple after Rubber Soul, how would you release the earlier material? How would you release and treat the early material? I'm a little lost on that. I don't know. You mean I would still honor it if that's what you mean. I would honor and take care of it and preserve it. I wouldn't shun it because the Beatles changed, if that's what you mean. For the Revolver in the U.S., I'd put in Dr. Robert. I'm only sleeping and your bird can sing. Nope. I disagree with you. Why do I disagree with you? Because you got to realize in the United States, the album Yesterday and Today came out first. And in the album, I'm looking at the whole quote, making sure I know what you're saying. And they already got those songs, Yesterday, we got a sneak peek. We beat the UK. The Brits did not get those songs. Dr. Robert, I'm Only Sleeping, and Your Bird Can Sing. We got to hear them before they did, before Revolver came out. But anyway, that's it. Did you find your new Rolling Stones CD? You talking about the new album? If so, I definitely did. If that's what we're talking about. Okay, if the oldies but goldies come on the radio, it's one of my favorites. If I hear Bebop Balula, I can hear it over and over again. Every time it comes on, I switch up the thing, and I have the record still. Is that the whole quote? The John Lennon quote in his last interview. Absolutely. Well, I've always agreed with this. I was never a big fan of Drive My Car, but I just think I've just seen a Face as a beautiful opening to an album. And I think that having grown up with it, I admit that I'm biased because I grew up with Rubber Soul that way. Having grown up with I've Just Seen a Face on the opening of the Rubber Soul album, when I listen to the UK Help, I think it's lost. I think it's wasted on side 2. I do. Since we're talking about hot takes, I prefer the mono mix of Beatles for Sale over the stereo mix. Do you think Sean will shy away from releasing a deluxe set for Walls and Bridges because John was not with Yoko at the time? No, I don't think that's going to happen at all. And the last I heard, they were still going to be putting out the Walls and Bridges deluxe set in 2027, next year. That's what I've heard. Now, the thing is, I'm not saying that he's not going to try. He might try to somehow involve Yoko stuff into the sessions, which really, like he kind of did with Mind Games. I mean, Yoko was present somewhat in the Mind Games. You could hear Yoko when they did the Mind Games with Sean. You could hear Yoko in some of the sessions tapes, but she really shouldn't be in Walls and Bridges at all. So I'm kind of hoping that he does the right thing with that. We'll see. And yes, there was a Flintstones episode where they parodied the Beatles and sang a song that went, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, of course, yeah, yeah, yeah. What else? I've never heard George talk about Don't Bother Me. He probably didn't like it that much, like John with Run for Your Life. George did talk about Don't Bother Me, and he just basically said that he says he was sick in bed with tonic, and he wrote it. And he said it's not a very good song. It's not a good song. Well, and I disagree with George. One of the best songs, as far as I'm concerned. But then again, the artist is always the hardest on his own work. He says the artist is his own harshest critic many times. Get Back, the single version, and Don't Let Me Down sound better in mono. I would go along with that. Thanks, Mo. For those who don't know, when he says thanks, Mo, at the end of Get Back on the Let It Be album, he's talking to Maureen Starkey. Thanks, Mo. Did you like Jethro Tull? Not especially. I mean, I haven't heard a lot of it, but there are songs I like. You know, I do have some songs by them. I like some songs by Tull. There was a documentary on over here the other day, Elvis, the Colonel and the Mob, quite eye-opening, went into his gambling and owing them money. Talking about the Colonel. Elvis playing Vegas was a mob deal, apparently. Oh, interesting. Oh, I was responding to when you were saying why you hadn't made videos and weren't feeling it. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. Okay. When you said there's more to life than just the Beatles. Well, take a look at my Johnny Cash video. I'm going to make videos whether they get big hits or not, but take a look at my Johnny Cash video. Usually I get views over 1,000 views, sometimes 1,200, 1,500, 18, 2,000, 3,000 or 4,000. It goes up sometimes. Johnny Cash video got like 500 views. It's been up for a few days. I understand that, you know, this is a Beatles channel primarily. I mean, I listen to other stuff too, but I'm not going to stop talking about other music though. When the mood strikes me, I'm not going to stop. But yeah, the algorithm is a real thing on here, and I learned that. You know, it took me a while to learn that. I used to dabble with the idea. I've said it many times, you know, that I was going to take all my work, all the subject that I have, and instead of putting them on 3 separate channels, I was going to put everything here. Put movie reviews on here. Put Beatles stuff on here. Put on everything. Rant videos, shopping videos. Anthony, put it all on here. If I'm talking about retirement, if I'm talking about trying to lose weight, I'm putting all that stuff. Put it all on here. Right. Well, I realized that it doesn't work because the algorithm, the way it works now, it's something with YouTube that it gets confused. It doesn't know what to do. It doesn't, because it actually works by recommending certain videos to possible viewers. And when you're putting up a video on the Beatles, and you're putting up a video after that talking about Godzilla versus King Kong or something like that, it doesn't know who's the audience, and it's a problem. And the same thing holds true if you have a lot of Beatles content, I imagine, and then all of a sudden you put up a Johnny Cash video out of nowhere. It's like, what's that all about? How does that fit in here? But I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop putting other music on here. I'm just giving you an example of that situation. The German version of early stuff really are the worst thing they ever recorded. Yeah, I'm not wild about the German versions of I Want to Hold Your Hand and She Loves You, but I'm glad they exist because they're fun. Did I find my Rolling Stones CD? I don't know which one we're talking about, but right now, as far as I know, nothing's lost. It's crazy how young George was when he passed. I realized that recently. Oh yeah, 58 is young. If you're 20 years old, 58 seems kind of old, but when you get to be, 60 something, you realize 58 was not old. And same thing, even more so for John Lennon, of course. Leaving at us at 40. Did I hear right? Someone said the Beatles didn't sing Bebop a Little Alive. They did sing Bebop a Little Alive, but I think that in on the Star Club album, it's not sung by the Beatles. I could be wrong about that. There it is. There you go. Yes, the Beatles did sing it many times live in their set. Yes, that's true. I think Mind Games is one of the best solo Beatles songs, as do I. I think this Mind Games is one of my very favorite John Lennon songs and solo Beatles songs. When is the next Mikey Arugula video? Well, I was hoping that we were going to go to the flea market tomorrow with the two of us. And by the way, the Mikey Arugula flea market videos, again, all flea market videos, whether I'm by myself, whether I'm with Anthony, whether I'm with Mikey, whatever, are over at the other channel, Mayo Loves Mondays. But anyway, so it's supposed to rain tomorrow. I don't know if that's going to change, but if it rains, I'm not going to the flea market outdoors. And also, we're supposed to get together in a couple of weeks to do another regular video. So before August is done, before we're finished with this month, there'll be another, Mikey video. Some people can't stand Mikey. Mikey, I love you. A lot of people love you, but there are people out there that have told me he's just, he can't take him. But for those who love him, they love him. To me, yesterday and today should have had Yellow Submarine, Good Day, Sunshine, etc., etc., etc. Okay, thank you for your opinion on that. I'm actually a Yoko fan, but really do sometimes wish a John album was just that, a John album without the Yoko songs. I agree too. I mean, I support Yoko and John's love of Yoko and including her in things, but I agree with you. I mean, that's what I even though I'm always defending Yoko, which I do. I do like that with Walls and Bridges. That was just John. That was just John doing his thing at that time. It's a nice change of pace. Okay, yeah, Don't Bother Me. George wanted to prove he could write a song, and yes, he wasn't a fan of it. I am, though. It's a banger, and I agree. Again, I meant, would you release early albums as is, or do Beatles 64, Beatles 65 to finish the catalog? I guess as is. I don't know if I understand right. Okay, the Woman's Song from Sometime in New York City removed from the more current releases of the album. Is it? Are they releasing for the newest ones? I don't even know about that. Have they put? And if they put Sometime in New York City out anymore since the box set of Power to the People? Worst solo Beatle album covers. 5, Walls and Bridges. I disagree with you. I think Walls and Bridges is a great cover, especially the way it flips over to the flaps on it. 4, Off the Ground. Yes, I'm not fond of that cover either. Wings at the Speed of Sound. I agree with you. Don't like that. The first McCartney album. I like the McCartney cover. And Ringo Rama. I like Ringo Rama. Out of this list, I would say Off the Ground and Wings at the Speed of Sound are the two I'd agree with you. Not too good. Hello, John. What's a good word with you? I think those songs being on Yesterday and Today would have had Revolver closer to the original UK, minus 2 songs, of course. Yeah, it would have been closer, but hindsight is 2020. Now, 50 years later, or 60 years later, so 60 years later, uh, I should say, 60 years later, it's easy to say should have done this, should have done that. At the time, it worked. Nobody in the U.S. Nobody knew any different. Nobody complained. There was no reason why those songs should have been repeated on the U.S. Revolver when the U.S. already had them featured earlier on Yesterday and Today. Have you bought or heard the one-to-one rehearsals, and do you think it should have been released with the last product? And did you find it interesting enough to be included? Were there more rehearsals? Okay, my feeling is that I have not heard that the new any of the one-to-one rehearsals. We're talking about. I've put it this way. I thought you meant the new releases of them. I have an album, the Willowbrook rehearsals. I have the Willowbrook rehearsals. Some of that stuff I think is included on the box set of Power to the People from last year. There's more rehearsals. Not everything was featured on that Power to the People. I think I would have preferred, of course, that it all be included in there. That's what you're talking about. I loved your Johnny Cash video. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Of course, some people you can please sometimes, and you can't please all the people all the time. Or as someone once said, after all is said and done, you can't go pleasing everyone, so screw it. I like the Stones' I Want to Be a Man version. Meaner, prefer the Beatles version. Well, I like it. I like the Stones version of I Want to Be Your Man. I agree it's meaner and nastier and more seedy sounding. But I prefer the Beatles version. Yeah. Seeing 58 as old when you're 20? Funny enough, I was 20 when George passed. Wow. All right, you made your point clear with this. I think you made your point very clear, Aaron. Thank you. It's not Revolver without I'm Only Sleeping in Dr. Robert. Okay. You've Got to Hide Your Love Away might be the best Beatles song ever, as far as I'm concerned. It's another great song. I'm agreeing with a lot of these. The Beatles, it's hard to find songs that weren't great, I love it. You've Got to Hide Your Love Away. Capital in Canada almost released Beatles albums just like the UK albums. There was Beatlemania with the Beatles, which was the original UK with the Beatles. Yeah, and I like that album too, the Canadian one, Beatlemania with the Beatles. I like that. Top 3 best frontmen of all time. Okay, my point is for my order Yesterday and Today and Revolver. I'm saying have some songs switch places. But as I'm trying to tell you, yes, but that's not the way it was then, If you're going back to 1966, I don't know how it worked exactly, but I think Capitol got whatever tapes they used, like they got those 3 songs, they got those 3 Revolver songs ahead, so they used those 3. Yes, that's what I said. In hindsight, when you look back at it, I could see you going back and reconstructing it now. If you wanted to reconstruct the U.S. albums, you could do that now. But back in 66, it made sense to do it the way they did it. Right, I see what you mean. But in retrospect, looking back on it now, my favorite drum pattern is from the song Rain. Okay, it's very good. It's Ringo's favorite Beatles song, and he says something happened when he drummed on that song he'd never played before like that or since, he says. So something special for him. It's incredible how John's voice was not quite the same in the 60s and in the 70s. Weird. Yeah, this is true. My dad lived around the corner from George, went to school with the Swinging Blue Jeans who did Hippie Hippie Shake. Yeah, they do a good version of that. Hippie Hippie Shake. I have it somewhere. I still have that vinyl album. That's the kind of vinyl album I almost don't want to let go of. Certain vinyl albums I want to keep because they're 60s or they're vintage, Are you going to get the Epic Elvis Presley in concert, 4K. Well, first of all, I don't collect 4K. Oh, you mean DVD, 4K quality on a DVD? The answer is probably no. I enjoyed seeing Elvis Presley Epic in the movie theaters. I think I saw it maybe 3 times, at least twice. I think maybe three with different people. But however, I don't. I'm good. I don't think I need to see it again and again and again and own it. I mean, I have. That's the way it is. Although you never know. Maybe I could. What the hell? Maybe I would, because there was some good bits in there. Oh, okay. From my understanding, Capitol asked EMI for some songs to release on Yesterday and Today, and they gave them some songs that were going to be on Revolver, and they used those songs. And that is history. Yep. However it happened, that's the way it happened. I can't go back. He meant 4K Blu-ray. That's what I was saying. Yeah. Okay. I think Ringo's drumming on She Said, She Said, and Tomorrow Never Knows compares favorably to Rain. I'd agree with you, and it's too damn bad. I'm gonna give Giles Martin a dig here. Too bad that he screwed up She Said on the 2022, I think it was, version of the deluxe Revolver. You heard me. I'm not in love with the George Martin Revolver. There are some songs that I like. I mean, Eleanor Rigby comes to mind. But there are other songs that I prefer the way they were. And She Said was ruined, in my opinion, on the Revolver Deluxe or the 2022 mix. My opinion, that's all. I know you're a Motown lover. Yeah. Do you have any actual studio albums? I have studio albums, mostly by the Supremes. I collect Supremes, and I have some others too, I think, by other artists. Boo, 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 boo. Okay, we're going to be ending a little early today, so we'll go for another 5 minutes or so, maybe. 5 or 10 minutes, maybe. Let's see. Okay, and see if we have any more comments right now. Yeah, it's funny. I do have that. Yeah, the Supremes album where they sing covers of English bands, Beatles, Dave Clark Five, Herman's Hermits, etc. Yeah, I think it's called A Little Bit of Liverpool. A Little Bit of Liverpool. In fact, I just played that vinyl album a month ago, not even a month ago. Yeah. Okay, I wonder what the Royals thought of Give Ireland Back to the Irish, or Lennon's Luck of the Irish. What's your favorite girl groups from that era? Basically everybody. I don't know. Everybody. The Dixie Cups, Ronettes, Crystals, all of them. I'm not. Strangely enough, I'm not counting the days to Rubber Soul. I mean, when it gets here, it gets here. There's lots of other things I have to keep my interest till then and keep me working. Got 3 channels. Hard to run 3 channels. Let me tell you, it's really overwhelming sometimes. It is, because you have to keep on doing content for not one, not two, but 3 channels. Did I see any movies? I certainly did. And if you look on my movie channel, I talk about some of them. I actually walked out on the Spider-Man movie, the new Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Brand New Day. And that's created a lot of controversy over there. It only lasted about a half an hour, and I got the hell out of there. And I did a video on that over at my movie channel, Mr. Cinemayo. So please subscribe and check it out. I also saw a horror movie called Ice Cream Man, and some other ones too, even. There you go. This is Oh yeah, yes, exactly. And I forgot to mention the Shirelles, of course. You know, the Shirelles. I love the Shirelles. Okay, George Martin sent early mixes of the three songs for Yesterday and Today, especially noticeable on I'm Only Sleeping. Another reason Yesterday and Today is an essential album. The only thing about that mix of I'm Only Sleeping, it's terrible on Yesterday and Today, I think, but it's unique. I saw that Spider-Man video. Oops. I would recommend The Temptations with a lot of soul and Irresistible, the only album by Tammy Terrell. Well, I can't answer this. A lot of times people ask me, what would you could only ask the four individual Beatles one question each, what would you ask? And that's at any stage in their solo. It's a great question. What I really need to do, and I know I'm not going to get around to it, I'm going to forget, but people a lot of times ask me, if you ever met John, what would you ask? If you ever met Paul, if you ever met George, Ringo, what would you ask them or whatever? And I'm always saying, I don't know. If I had the opportunity, I would have to really think about it. I have to take some time to think about it and prepare. I know that if I met Ringo, and it would be nice if I got to meet him at Forest Hills Stadium on October 1st, because there's a contest, Meet Ringo, backstage. But if I did wind up, I would just like to tell Ringo how what a fan I am of all his work, the solo stuff too, and even the more obscure albums, and also for him to have a little bit more confidence in that, because I wouldn't say have confidence, Ringo, but I'd say I want you to know there are people out there that love your albums, not just the Beatles. That's pretty much what I would do. And I did not see the Odyssey. Everybody else saw the Odyssey. I didn't. No, Ice Cream Man is actually a different movie now. There was a movie in 1995 where Ron Howard's brother Clint Howard played the Ice Cream Man. This is not a remake of it. It's just a different movie with the same title. Yeah, I have a lot of Monkees albums. I'm not every one of them. I don't have a lot of some of the later ones in their career, but yeah. Okay, I actually met Tom Holland and Zendaya a few months ago. A very friendly, down-to-earth couple, but he's no Tobey Maguire. Well, I prefer Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker, personally. I would ask the Beatles, why didn't you record more Klaatu albums? That's pretty fun. I wonder what they would say to that. Yes, that's the Three Lit Candles. That's an album called Very Together. It's called Very Together. And I don't know if it's Tony Sheridan's and the Beatles stuff. I don't remember. But I always tell this story that in 2016, which is now 10 years ago, can you believe that? How fast the time goes? 10 years ago, I took a ride to Princeton Record Exchange and I bought 50 some odd records. They had a big Beatles collection came in. I bought 50 something records, a lot of bootlegs. And I had that album in very nice condition in my pile. And somehow, when I left the store, they forgot to put it in the bag, and I never got that album. That really pissed me off, because it's of all the albums to leave out, you leave that one out. But it makes me laugh because, again, that's 10 years ago, and it's scary because you think, wow, 10 years went by that fast, from 2016 to 2026. I'm going to be 74 in 10 years. You're like, geez, you can't believe that. But anyway, and I haven't even done much with those records. I haven't done much with them. I just collected them. I showed them to you. I made a video in 2016. Look at this. Look, I showed all 50 something of them. And they went on the shelf, and I pulled maybe 3 or 4 of them off since then. Yes, it is May Pang. May Pang's voice is the one you hear saying John on Number 9 Dream. I actually prefer Tom Holland's Spider-Man over Tobey Maguire. I heard that he's closer to the comics than Maguire's version. Okay. I don't like the Spider-Verse movies. If we're talking about the same thing, the multiverse or whatever it is, no, I don't love that. I don't like the idea of different universes. It's my personal preference. Okay, let's get prepared to wind this down a little bit, people. Maybe just a few more comments or questions. Don't forget again, before I do go, whenever I go in a few, to check out my channel. Try to subscribe to Mayo Loves Mondays, the trifecta. Be subscribed to all three channels, because a lot of times you don't know. Flea market videos are now over this channel. Rant videos are now over there. Joe and Danny shows over there. Hanging out with Anthony. That stuff all is over there. It's going to be all new episodes of that stuff too. And of course, the movie channel, Mr. Cinemayo. So please help me out. Very much would appreciate it. You know, no, people ask me these questions. No, I only know a few songs by America. That's it. And no news from Magic Alex. That's it, everybody. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. It was fun to get back to this. Try to do these every week, see if I can do one next Saturday. So I look forward to making new videos here, which there will be new videos here. And I really hope you'll go over to the other ones. Don't forget what we got coming up here. I'm going to tell you some things that are coming up over on Mayo Loves Mondays. I'm going to be giving you, if you're interested, my weight loss journey tomorrow. I'll probably do that tomorrow. That's Sunday. And then let's see, Monday at Mr. Cinemayo, we're going to do the movie live show. We do a movie chat about movies and television, things we bought, things we watched, theatrical experiences. It's going to be a fun one coming up, because the next show, which is going to be Monday, as I said, over at Mr. Cinemayo, Tom Hunyadi, who really liked the new Spider-Man movie, and me, who walked out on it, are probably going to clash a bit. So be sure to check that out and subscribe over there. Okay, and don't forget the Joe and Danny show. The Joe and Danny show, for now, has moved to Thursday mornings, 8 a.m. Eastern, over at Mayo Loves Mondays. All right, so thank you again, everybody. I appreciate all your support.